We welcome to the show Donald Fawkner, who is the Program Manager at Upside Youth Mentoring Aotearoa.
Kia ora.
Welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So we got you in to talk a little bit about what you do and hear your story and hopefully entice some people to sign up and start working with the fabulous work that you guys do. So just to start with, can you give us a bit of a scope as to, what is the work that you do and what does it look like?
So what Upside is it's a youth mentoring program. So we work with 9 to 13-year-olds. We've got some partner schools who will just find a kid. It's not high-risk kids that are dealing with the real problems that are behavioural issues and stuff, but it's more that low to middle risk kids that just the school identifies could do with mentoring. And so we have a team of mentors who will meet with those kids and commit to meet with them every week for a year. And they'll go and just do simple things like whether it's just walking the dog or just meet and getting an ice cream with them. We do events a couple of times a year that bring everybody together like a camp, and it's just that peak experience for them. And it pretty much the mentors that we work with, they walk with them. They don't try and fix them. They just be that person that gets the in-jokes with them, that shares experience. It's very relational, and it's a great way for them to actually just be engaged and really make a difference in these kids' lives. How
did you end up doing this? Can we hear a little bit about your story?
Well, I was talking with a mate last year, and we all know how bad the crime issue and the youth and the ram raids, that's been very front and centre in the media. And so we were both lamenting, as many people I think do. And he's one of those wonderful friends who busted out the line, so what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And it stumped me, and I'm like, oh, come on, man. I mean, I worked for a church. I was the youth and, the families ministry leader there, and I love that place.
Yeah.
And I love that job. And I was like, well, I'm sort of doing this. But that is a question that just wouldn't go away. And then I got asked to apply for this job, and I'd been asked before, and nothing had been like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. But this really sat with me. And then an incident happened at a friend's work where some youth were being disruptive and got angry. It was like, oh, come on, where were their parents? Where were the people in that community would stand up for them? And I was like, it's one of those, you'd call it a God moment where it's just that smack on the back of the head, like, yeah. Where are they?
Where are you?
Exactly. And so... I put in, and the more and more I found out about Upside, oh man, honestly, the work it does is just amazing, and the lives that it transforms. It makes meaningful impact on these kids long term.
What's the impact that you have seen with the kids that have gone through the program?
Well, we had a child that was paired with a mentor just quite recently, and in like 3 weeks, I was talking to one of the teachers about it, and she said, man, I've just noticed this little girl who had cancer as a child, and so developmental issues in there. And she said she's blossoming. Her mentor picks her up from school every Tuesday and just takes her, gets an ice cream, goes for a walk, and just goes to the library, and they read, and she loves researching. So she was telling me about a dolphin that is extinct, they think.
Yeah.
And the teacher just said that she's just starting to blossom. And I met someone last week, or just this week actually, amazing little boy. His dad left him at 3. He got a stepdad not long after. He left him at 5. Like, where do you go with that? I mean, we've all had talk about ACEs, adverse childhood experiences.
Yeah.
And we've all had to deal with trauma, especially as a parent. I mean, we all know that we provide more trauma for our kids as a father of 2. Just ask them. They're probably tired of being used in illustrations on Sundays. But any pastor kids understands that, I know. Yeah. But, when they have so many of these adverse childhood experiences, it becomes this burden that they can't carry.
Yeah. And
when you have a mentor or someone that works with you and walks with you, you realise you don't have to carry that stuff. And for that boy, and we're pairing him up with someone, is just to have someone with him long term for a year that will walk with him and not abandon him.
Committed to him, eh?
Totally.
Are most of the kids who are coming into the program and that you pair up with these mentors, are they like missing a parent? Is that quite a common
common,
thing?
But not entirely. Sometimes the father's absent, sometimes they're there, or sometimes the mother's absent.
Yeah.
It's more about kids that just need an extra stable voice.
Yeah.
So sometimes both parents are around, but they're really working really hard trying to survive, because the cost of living crisis is killing us all, really. It's terrible. And so for poorer communities, it's hitting even harder. And so some kids do have both parents around. Some kids only have one. Some kids are staying with their aunts or their grandparents.
What kind of person can apply to be a mentor? Do you have to be like qualified, like I'm a counsellor, or I've got this background in social work, or something like that? Or are you just looking for average Joes that are just like, hey, I'd love to just help someone out, maybe?
Yeah, look, literally, honestly, we've got 58 mentors on our books, and there's a range from very successful business owners. There's a lot of uni students, some studying psychology. We have to let them know remind them that they're learning lots of things, but they don't need to fix the kids.
Don't practice on the child.
Yeah, exactly. They're not a case study. But anyone really can. It doesn't matter whether you're. I was talking to someone just last week who was looking to sign up, and their kids have grown up and they're wanting to give back to the community. So it can be literally anyone or anything, and we interview them, and it's quite a rigorous process because obviously, there's a lot of trust, and we've got to make sure that those kids are safe and that they're emotionally safe, because we need people to know what the commitment is.
Yeah.
And if they pull out, it can be really hard for those kids. But we're happy to talk about it and just to see, and really it's just to work out the fit for them, because we want to make sure that the people that are trying to be mentors are actually prepared and willing to do it. And we don't drop you in it. It's not like, here you go, here's a child, we'll see you in a year.
Good luck, let us know how it goes.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I think about my own life, right? And so when I was like a teenager, I was really fortunate that, I come from a good family, like, I don't have a lot of sort of childhood trauma to speak of, but there's still that thing with your parents. Like they can talk to you, but you don't want to hear it from them.
Yep.
And you don't really, there's this period where you just want to step outside of that, do your own thing. But I was really lucky that I had some older guys that really invested in me, and they kind of mentored me basically in an unofficial capacity. There was no program that I was involved with, but I remember, and I still know these people, and they're, role models of mine who, man, they just gave me time. They just hang out with me when I was like a 15-year-old, they'd just come around and be like, oh, I'm going out to do this. You're coming with me. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Sort of reluctantly, but we'd just hang out and do everyday stuff. But it really fed into who I was.
Oh, totally. And I was very similar. I became a Christian when I was 16.
Yeah.
And then I had someone at the age of 17, thank goodness they were in my life, a husband and wife. Then they just walk with me and they mentored me. And I still am in contact with them, and they're a special part. In fact, I had the privilege of mentoring their son.
Oh, wow.
And so it's such and that's where I can see mentoring is so important. And where previously, in our communities would do it unofficially, but we've lost a lot of that as a society, of that ability to step in for people. And so particularly for those kids that don't have that stable base that you did, and other people who with good solid parenting, it makes this huge difference to them, and just a little bit just lifts them. And it's like you see it like a brightening flower when it opens up. They just all of a sudden get it.
Is the problem becoming a bit like you mentioned about nowadays, how we don't sort of have this community involvement so much? We're quite siloed, almost individualistic in our family setups, and that where if there's a gap in a family, it's not being filled by anyone else in the community, maybe. Is that increasing, do you think? Yeah,
I mean, it's when you look in society, we do see it. We see people that go, oh, we didn't know it was happening. And I think that this is a really amazing way that we can actually re-engage with that as a society. And because none of us like what's happening with the youth crime rate. And so when we see a kid that is you can just see that the trauma that they face. And when you have someone that's going to literally just sit and listen to them and say, who's your favourite football player, and kick a ball around, it just makes such a huge difference. And the results that we've been getting and we've been seeing and reading from mentors who have come through, they feel better about themselves. They know they've got someone. I mean, it's not the magic bullet. It's not like, I was once blind, but now I can see. I've just grown another arm. But it's more about, actually, they have a chance to breathe, to appreciate, and to have another stable voice. And, it's improved academics at school. They're more attentive. Sometimes it's a case of they turn up to school.
Yeah.
Because there's someone there that, people say, well, my parents will tell me, but I just ignore them. Every parent understands that. But it's actually having someone say to them, like, no, man, come on, what are you talking about? Do you honestly think that's the right way to approach it?
Yeah.
And it takes one of the things, cut my teeth in kids and families ministry in a program called Dynamite Bay. And in that time, we talked about lots of things. Like the classic one was people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And someone that when you walk with them, spend 2 hours a week with them. And I know that time is more valuable to people now than money. But when you give it, the mentors that do it, they're just buzzing. They love it. They get just about as much out of it as the kids, because all of a sudden you're getting this feeling of like, I'm making a difference.
And you are, right? I mean,
totally.
You've seen the proof of it.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, people who have been experienced mentoring know that it works. Someone that walks with you is someone there that you can just bounce off, and eventually it's a case of you can actually help shape them. And it's actually just such a beautiful thing to see a kid who doesn't believe in themselves, who just won't look at a mentor in the eye for 3 months sometimes when they talk, and then all of a sudden they smile and they say, and they find out how cool it is, and the parents to see that. One story I just heard yesterday was a mentor who's been with their mentee for a long time. Their parents have started, or their mum has got enough drugs, starting to get a job now and working to provide, because she's seen the difference in having that, what's happened with her kid, and all of a sudden it's made them want to be. So
the ripple effects go further.
It is literally a ripple effect. The pebble drops in and it spreads so far.
Watching how passionate you are, Donald, about this program is really inspiring. If people are also as inspired as I feel listening to you, what can they do? How do they get in contact?
Well, you can either email me, donald@upside.org.nz, or go to the website, and there's actually a button that you can click on the mentoring, which is upside.org.nz, and we can get one of our team to contact you. We can go get a coffee. It's not one of those cases where once we get your name on a database, we call you straight away and then we keep hounding you. We want to make sure it's a right fit for you.
Just put you on the newsletter.
Yeah, totally.
No, that's good. And I love you're a relational, obvious, organisation, so I'm sure that's true with the mentors as well.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any specific age range of the mentors themselves?
Yep, sure. So basically, we encourage like university to breathing. As long as you can breathe, we've got some people who are retired that are doing it.
That took me a while. I was like,
not what I was expecting.
No, honestly, it doesn't matter how old you are, university age.
So basically, you need to be an adult to start with, like 18 at least, and then beyond that. Cool, man. Hey, well, really cool to hear about, and so glad to hear that, the program's going well. And, just to give a scope, you said earlier you've got about 58 mentors or so at the moment. What's the need on the other side of mentees?
Look, anyone who signs up and we go through the vetting process and work through, you're going to get a mentor.
So you got room for, for more?
It's the schools are asking us, because we work with 4 partner schools in Auckland, and they literally, we just say, hey, look, we've got a mentor. Who do you want? And we've got it. We do a real strong interview process to make sure they understand what it is. So it's not daycare. It's not just someone I'm going to have to give the parents a break, but they understand what it's all about.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to find out more and you're thinking, that could be a bit of me, upside.org.nz, all the details are there. You can get in touch with Donald and, go from there and see what happens. Thanks so much for sharing your heart with us this morning.
Cheers, man.